offer seniors. So thank you very much for coming to our meeting this morning. New Knowledge Adventures, also known as NKA, is a volunteer-driven program established in the Treasure Valley in 2015. It was modeled after a very successful NKA program in Pocatello. We're grateful for the volunteer instructors and volunteer committees that enable us to offer these classes free to adults who share our passion for lifelong learning. This class, like most of our classes, will be recorded and accessible on youtube.com by typing NKA Idaho into your search box. Today, how today will work is that you may leave the class at any time. Our microphones will be muted. And then we will ask questions in the chat at the end of the presentation. And of course, we will all be here using our professional language and behavior during this class. And with that, we'd like to welcome our presenter this morning, our first presenter, who is Laura Pegram.
Hi there, my name's Laura. I am the Volunteer Services Manager at the Idaho Humane Society, and I have a little presentation for you all about the very wide variety of volunteer opportunities that we have. Okay. Let's see here. So this is an introduction to myself. A lot of folks are curious about how I came to IHS. I've been here about 2 years now. My background is in human services. I've done a lot of work in youth services, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Ronald McDonald House, organizations like that. But I am a true animal lover, and I have several pets at home. I'm myself an IHS foster, and so it has been really fun working with people who share my love of animals and helping people do volunteer work that truly fills up their cup. So we have 2 different volunteer facilities. Folks can volunteer at our Dorman Street facility. It's off of our Orchard Street exit. This is our intake facility. It's our building that we've had for several decades now. And so we have intakes. We contract with Animal Care and Control for several cities as well as Ada County. We do transfers in and out of other shelters. Right now we're working with West Valley particularly in order to help them manage their intakes because they are renovating their shelter. We have a foster department, which I'll talk about more later. Our shelter clinic, which is where all of our animals are treated prior to adoption. And we have our behavior and training department, which again, I will mention here in a moment. And excuse the rattling, my personal dog just went and laid down in his crate. I am currently at our Bird Street facility. This is our new building. It's off of Overland Road, across from Dutch Bros, if anyone's familiar. We have most of our volunteers start here, and all of our newbies start here. You'll see there's a lot less going on. This is where the magic Disney World type feelings happen because this is where our adoption center is located. We also have a veterinary medical center, which is an extremely helpful resource in our community. Our veterinary medical center is for publicly owned animals. So we will do routine vet care for folks who financially qualify, folks who have financial hardship, but we will do surgeries and urgent care when available to folks regardless of income or financial need. We're one of the few nonprofit vet clinics in the country, and we have in-house financing as well, which is extremely rare. So I just think it's really important that folks know about that resource in our community. It's a really good way to avoid having to take on debt or even surrender your animal just due to needing medical care. And finally, we have our Humane Education Department here at our Bird Street facility. I actually oversee our Humane Education Department, so if anyone has specific questions about that at the end of the presentation, I can speak more on that. But we serve several thousand children a year in schools as well as on site, and we just recently started offering birthday parties on site through our Humane Education program. So last year we had over 37,000 volunteer hours, and our volunteer force is pretty significant. It accounts for almost 18 full-time staff members. And it's about $500,000 value just of the labor that our volunteers are contributing through their time and efforts. When it comes to volunteering with us, we ask for a minimum of 4 hours per month. If you want to volunteer in multiple departments, you can, but my rule of thumb is if you would like to volunteer in multiple departments, you should add an additional 1 to 2 hours each month to that 4 hours minimum, because we want you to be in regular contact with the staff and other volunteers you're working with. We want you to remain up to date on any policy and procedure changes, and we want to keep your skills sharp. We also ask for a minimum 6-month commitment because you'll see that there are a lot of different things that can be done here at the shelter, and we want folks who are really committed towards building our team of volunteers. We will allow children age 12 to 15 to volunteer with an adult. That can be a parent, a grandparent, a mentor. It does not have to be a blood relative. It just has to be an adult who loves animals and is committed to helping the child volunteer successfully. We do allow folks with disabilities to volunteer, depending on how your disability impacts you physically or cognitively. We may ask that you have an assisting volunteer to work with you. But we really try to leave that up to folks' individual discretion unless there is a problem. One thing that we do not do is we do not provide public service volunteering opportunities, which is a pre-sentencing volunteering. Our front desk does do court-ordered community service volunteering, though. I forgot to mention at the beginning, but at the end of the presentation, I will take questions. I'm just asking for no questions along the way because I've found that typically I end up answering folks' questions within a few slides if we hang in there. So what does it take to be a good volunteer at IHS? We are really looking for folks who are seeking to understand the needs of our animals, as well as kind of the needs of a shelter and what shelter operations are like. If you are interested in coming in and petting puppies twice a year, you don't have to volunteer to do that. We'd love to have you. You can just visit when we have puppies and meet them. We are looking for folks who are really seeking to dedicate regular time and be involved in the program. We're also trying to expand our program. So if you're a person who enjoys training other folks, being a mentor, helping folks become part of a community, I'd ask that you consider becoming a mentor once you get involved. We have several mentor volunteers, but as our program grows, we are looking for more. Positive attitude is very important to volunteering in a shelter because we handle about 10,000 animals a year, which is quite a lot of work, and we have several hundred volunteers on the team. Just statistically, not everyone is going to be best friends, but we are all working together on the same team, and that's really important to remember. So I'm going to start digging into the fun stuff of all of the different volunteer opportunities we have. If this first slide doesn't seem of interest to you, hang in there because I have more. This is not an exhaustive list. But one of the things that we have a high need for is clerical volunteering. This is just assisting different departments in returning voicemails, data entry, organizing supplies or data. And that can really be You can make your own schedule with that. And if you have a particular department you have interest in and you let me know, we can make that happen for you. We have our Humane Education program, which provides tours and programming to scout troops, student groups. We also have student service hour workshops, which are for students who need volunteer hours for school, but either due to their age or due to lack of availability of an adult to volunteer with them, they're not able to volunteer through our traditional program. So then we put on student service workshops where they can come for a few hours with our Humane Ed coordinator and work on projects to help them get those hours for school. Oops. There we go. Oh dear. Sorry. We also have events volunteering, which if folks have questions about that at the end, Amy can answer specific questions. She's our events coordinator. But just a general overview, we sort of have two different routes for events volunteers. You can do either, you can do both. We have info booths, which are just a tabling at an event. It can be Hyde Park Street Fair. It can be Treasure Valley Subaru. And we send you out with flyers and information and candy. And we just need folks who are willing to go out there and interact with the public, be friendly, and give folks the materials to answer any questions that they have and refer them to the staff that can give them further information. The other opportunity would be our large events, which can include day of volunteering, but it can also include just planning leading up to the event, doing asks for gift baskets, going and picking up things that we need. There's really a lot that goes into planning events, as I'm sure many of you know, and so we can certainly use support in that area. We have pack room volunteering available at both of our clinics. So this is just sterilizing and making surgical packs for different types of surgery. And this is something that really helps our clinics run smoothly. It helps our clinic staff to dedicate as much of their time as possible to that direct animal care. We have housekeeping needs at both of our locations. That looks like laundry, dishes, and sometimes other projects. You may or may not be surprised by the vast amount of laundry that we do on a daily basis. Transport. So occasionally we will send an animal out to another shelter, or we will bring an animal back from another shelter. Shelters really work together and will shuffle around animals to get them in the place where they have the best chance of being adopted. And so we like to, for one-day trips, make use of volunteers for these transfers. We can make you an approved driver as long as you have a clean driving record and take an online class from us, but this is not something that we can do last minute. If you're not an approved driver, we will do gas reimbursement for you as well. This isn't necessarily a great fit for everybody, but for folks who have flexibility and don't mind day trips, it can be a really rewarding experience. We have a few special volunteer programs. Right now, we do not need assistance for our Meals on Wheels for Pets and pet food pantry programs. However, I did include them on this presentation just so you can be aware that they are something that we offer. If folks are in a financial situation where they're unable to feed their pets, or they're having to choose between feeding their pets and feeding themselves, we want to help out. We want to intervene. And so that's why we have these programs available. We also have a can recycling program that is volunteer run. Last year, we raised over $32,000 through our aluminum can recycling. We have drop-off sites at every Zamzows in Ada County except for the Lake Hazel location. And you can just put a bag of preferably rinsed aluminum cans in a large trash bag and dump them into the collection bins at the Zamzows sites. We need folks who are willing to sort cans, because sometimes people will put steel cans or just bizarre household objects into their bags, and we have to make sure that that is not what we're giving the recycling center. We need folks who can substitute for our regular pickup drivers who go to each Samzo's location and pick up the cans on a weekly basis. And we could use more drop-off drivers, more folks who are willing to drive the truck with a trailer attached and take it to the recycling center to get our payments. So what I'm guessing most people are going to be interested in are our opportunities related to animals. We have opportunities in our kennels, which includes walking dogs. This is the absolute best thing that you can do for our dogs because a shelter environment is not a normal or stress-free environment for dogs. We do have a beautiful shelter. We're very lucky. However, it is still noisy and smells like dozens of other dogs and dozens of other people, and that can be hard for animals. So if we can get them out and get them exercised, it makes a huge difference. We work really hard to have an updated walk list with notes that help you select which dogs would be good for you to walk in terms of size, behavior, just difficulty, how their leash manners are, things like that. We also have online classes that we're working on putting on our volunteer management site that expand your skills and resources for working with dogs. So if you want to develop your skills and expand the types of dogs that you're comfortable walking, that is a really great resource. In terms of our cattery, one of the biggest things we need help with is TLC because we get cats that are really shut down from their time in their shelter. And folks really want to see and meet the cats before adopting them. So the more that we can help them come out of their shell, the better. We also do daily enrichment with our cats, just like our dogs, and cleaning kennels. During kitten season, we get 500 to 600 cats surrendered to us every month. And so we are constantly cleaning those kennels as cats go out and new cats come in. We have small animals. Most of our small animals are going to be rabbits, but we will also get guinea pigs, sometimes rats, and birds on a fairly regular basis. And small animals tend to be shy in a shelter environment, but our volunteer team has really been stepping up in the last year to give extra attention and love to our small animals. And as a result, now when you walk into our small animal room, typically our small animals do not run and hide. They come out, they want attention, they look to see if you have treats for them. And so the more support we can dedicate to our small animals, again, the faster we can get them adopted. So we do have a few urgent or high volunteer needs, which I'm going to talk about for a moment. I wanted to share this reflection from one of my volunteers after her first shift doing housekeeping at Dorman. Dorman is a special place because the building is quite old. It was built in the early 60s, which is a long time for a shelter not to get an update. As a result, dishes have to be done by hand there, and there's just not quite as much elbow room. So one of our urgent needs is dog walkers at Dorman. It is not right for everyone, so I want to talk about some of those challenges though before I give you the positives. Dorman is our intake facility, so some of our dogs are early in their stay with us. That can mean we don't have as much knowledge of their behavior. There's less staff oversight or assistance because Dorman was built at a time when, frankly, animal shelters were set up more like prison facilities. And so there is not an open line of sight at Dorman. And that can mean folks might not be there to automatically step in if you're having a challenge. You might have to go seek help or problem solve independently. And finally, because this is where our shelter clinic is, any dogs that are receiving medical care outside of foster care are going to be in our kennels there. So you might see dogs that are recovering from surgery, injury, or illness. So if none of that scared you off, we have really good reasons for walking dogs at Dorman. First, this is typically the longest phase of a dog's stay with us. Our animals tend to bottleneck around their final vet checks before they go out to the adoption floor. This is when they receive all of the rest of their vaccinations. This is when they get their spay and neuter surgeries. Our vets are incredible and do like 24 or more spay or neuters every day over at Dorman. But again, there's such a high volume that it just takes time. So they're also not getting out to meet potential adopters like the dogs at Bird Street are. So given this longer time period, as well as the fact that the dogs aren't getting out to meet adopters, it's really important that we maintain the dogs' mental health by getting them out of the kennels environment. There are significantly fewer volunteers at Dorman because folks tend to settle in here at the starting location and then they don't move over. And finally, what I think is probably the best reason to walk dogs at Dorman is that it helps prevent kennel stress and negative behaviors that would then impact those dogs' adoptability and the speed at which they get adopted once they do make it to our Bird Street location and are available for adoption. Our other urgent need is for foster parents. So last year we had almost 2,000 animals go through our foster program. You do have to be 18 years or older to foster. Sometimes I get teenagers who think that they can foster, and that's not the case. But fostering is something that you can do with just online trainings, which is unique to our shelter. Most of our other departments require in-person training. So in terms of fostering dogs, you do have to house the dogs indoors. They need access to a fenced yard, or you need to be able to take them on walks twice a day. We ask for you to provide a crate, or I'm sorry, we provide a crate for you. We ask you to crate when you're gone. Some dogs that might not be the best fit for, but it's something we recommend because dogs can be unpredictable. Mothers and puppies must have separate living quarters from any resident pets, and we do not allow shock collars or electric fences for our dogs. We have a wide variety of dogs that need fostering. It can be anything from a bottle baby puppy who lost their mother to a mama with a litter of puppies that are too young to be spayed or neutered. It can be a dog with behavior challenges that we need someone who can work with them on, or it can be a dog with a medical concern or recovering from a surgery. When it comes to fostering cats, they do have to be 100% indoors. They cannot be indoor-outdoor. We ask that you quarantine them from other pets for several days. Kitty cats are very good at spreading illness and disease because they like to hide if they're sick. And then again, mothers and kittens must have separate living quarters from household animals. Just like with dogs, the cats can have a variety of reasons why they're in foster care. It can be a large commitment or a small commitment. Sometimes it's as simple as a kitten that weighs 1.2 pounds instead of our required 1.5 pounds for spay-neuter surgery. It can be an animal that has an upper respiratory infection and needs a week of some rest and relaxation and medication. Or it can be an animal with a complex orthopedic procedure that they're going through, and then they need physical therapy to recover. As you can see in the pictures, we get a lot of kittens. I mentioned kitten season before. Out of all of our fostering, I would say the number one need is folks who are willing to foster bottle baby kittens. This is because it is a round-the-clock commitment. Kittens that are less than 2 weeks old do have to be fed every 2 to 2.5 hours. Once they get past that stage, it's more like every 3 to 4. And I have a little picture of some what we call mush babies on there. We love when kittens get to the mush baby phase because then they feed themselves. But suffice to say, it's a lot of work, and folks who have a regular 9-to-5 job often cannot take on that commitment. So it makes it a larger challenge to get those kittens placed. So in terms of next steps, you would just email me. I put my email address here, and I can send you an email with links to create an online profile and sign up for our next volunteer orientation. We do take a break in December from new volunteer trainings, but we'll resume first thing in January. Vanessa, oops, sorry. Vanessa, our trainer, was not able to make it, so I have a few more slides on our training department that I just want to go over, and then I can take questions. So our behavior team has private and group training. We offer puppy classes that help you get your dog started on the right foot. It helps to avoid any of the common behavior problems that we often see with dogs, and hopefully is just setting you up for success, you and your dog. We have group classes for everything from simple obedience training to canine good citizen to reactive dog classes. And we have one-on-one trainings for more severe behavior problems. This is something I have made use of myself for my dogs because, as many folks will tell you, the people who work at shelters tend to have the worst behaved dogs. And we will offer in-person one-on-one trainings for Ada County residents. All of our trainers use positive reinforcement methods, and they all have a professional training certification. I included a link to look at all of our available classes online, as well as the email contact for our dog training department. And I am ready to take questions if folks have any.
This is my assistant, Miel, who is from the Humane Shelter, Idaho Humane Society Shelter.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, she really changed my life during the pandemic. My previous cat from the Idaho Humane Society had passed away, and so I was looking forward to having another cat, and she's now joined my family. Let's see, I think we have a question here.
Yes, it looks like, so we do offer senior discounts. I believe it's, so it's either 10 or 15% off. I want to say we do also have a program through a specific grant. However, we do not have, basically we've used all of our funding for it for this year. So if you want to adopt in 2024, we'll have additional discounts available if you're interested in adopting an adult animal. We did lower the age, so I want to say the animal only has to be a year old in order for the discount to apply. But if you have specific questions or concerns about that, you can also email me and I can talk with our PR manager and get those exact numbers for you.
Laura, I had a couple questions on
Sure.
the training or the orientation. Because you said that you want a commitment of 4 hours a month, but what does the training consist of as far as time wise?
Sure. So,
or the orientation for volunteering, I guess.
Sure. So orientation lasts about an hour and a half. You'll see some repeat information from my presentation, but we also go over safety, policies and procedures, that sort of thing. And then you get a tour of the shelter. And then we do in-person trainings for housekeeping, which we do require all of our animal handling volunteers to do 1 hour of. We want you to see what goes on behind the scenes at the facility. And then we have hands-on training for cattery, kennels, small animal. And for small animal, it's about 20 minutes. Cattery, it's about an hour. And kennels, it's about an hour and a half.
Okay, so it's not like a whole day training or anything or orientation like that.
No.
And then my other question is, to volunteer, so you would go to the orientation at the site off of Overland, but if you were to be able to volunteer at the Dorman site, you would start out at the Overland site, or do you actually start at the Dorman site?
You start at Overland, our Bird Street facility. We have everybody start there, and this is where we offer all of our basic skills classes. And then, as folks receive their basic skills classes, if they want to volunteer at Dorman, then we can set them up with a mentor just to get a one-on-one in-person orientation to the department at Dorman that they're interested in.
Okay.
So we try to offer more flexibility that way.
Okay. On fostering, say either dog or cat, and an opportunity to travel came up, how does that work? Would I have to find my own dog cat sitter, or do we work out something with the Humane Society for that care if you had to travel or something?
Sure. So a few different things regarding that. So our preference is that you do not commit to fostering a specific animal unless you, to your knowledge, are going to be available to foster them for their duration of time in foster care. We do provide bios of all of the fosters available for fostering. We have a private Facebook group as well as a weekly newsletter for fosters. So you get to select your own foster as long as you've received proper training for them. And then part of that bio is kind of an explanation of what they're needing in foster care and what that time commitment might look like. However, things happen, right? Things happen. And also, there might be an animal who we're really struggling to get into foster care, and we're willing to make an exception because we want to get them into care and we don't have other options other than somebody who has a trip already planned, right? So when that happens, we will work with you. We might have you post them internally in that foster Facebook group or share more information about the animal's behavior and personality, so that we can reach out to other foster parents and see if someone can basically pet sit for you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the information.
Perfect. Of course.
We have a question from Vicki LeBrock too. Is the dog training available to the public or just adoptive pets?
Right. So our training is for anyone. So if you adopted your animals from anywhere, or even if you got them from a breeder, we still want you to come and get your training from us because we use all positive reinforcement. And our trainers are really committed to solving those behavior problems. And in the case of puppies, preventing them from ever coming up. So yes, we will work with anyone when it comes to our training department. We do also have trainers that are dedicated just to working with the animals that are in our care at the shelter.
Do you provide some training for folks maybe moving from their home to assisted living, where their pet may need to make a transition?
Sure. That's a great question. I think that there's kind of a combination of things I would suggest for that. First is that's part of why I would suggest puppy classes to anyone who adopts a puppy, because those really go over socialization, having the dog successfully interact with new people and new places, and really just is setting the dog up for success. However, if you have an adult dog and you're making that transition, I would strongly recommend working one-on-one with our trainers, because again, they can come on site with you. They can see what challenges there might be for your animal, and again, just really help tailor it to what your needs are and what your animal is experiencing.
We have a question from Catherine Jones. She asks, do you serve exotic animals such as sugar gliders, hedgehogs, lovebirds, etc.?
So that's a fun question. So we are an open admission shelter in Ada County. So we will accept a surrender appointment, like regardless of animal, as long as you are an Ada County resident. Depending on what that animal is, we might work with another rescue that maybe specializes in sugar gliders and therefore can provide the best possible care that we're not equipped to have. We get birds all the time, and we have had lovebirds in the past available for adoption. When it comes to training, that's not something we offer standard, but I know our lead trainer, I want to say it's either 9 or 11 species that she has experience with. So it definitely goes beyond just dogs and cats. And honestly, I would use that dog training email address and just reach out, because our training department and our staff there have an absolute wealth of knowledge and information. And if they don't have an answer for you, they will connect you to somebody who does.
I have another question. Can you tell us more about services for folks who may be homebound, or maybe they aren't able to afford pet food or kitty litter? What services do you have for them?
Sure. So I say this with the caveat of, please don't tell everyone and their mother about these services, because right now we do not have the volunteer support or financial availability to serve every person who might qualify. I hope one day that's not the case, but that's just where we are now. However, our pet food pantry is available for anybody who meets the Housing and Urban Development standards of being in poverty. We'll also serve anyone who is receiving other government benefits like food stamps, if you're on Social Security, things like that. And then for our Meals on Wheels for Pets program, it's essentially the same financial qualifiers, but that is specifically for people who are unable to leave their home. They can't get a ride from anyone either, because we do encourage folks to try and carpool and get rides for Pet Food Pantry. It is unpaid volunteers and myself as a staff member who is making those monthly Meals on Wheels for Pets deliveries. And so it's definitely a really important program, but it is not, the capacity is not currently unlimited. So please, if you know someone who needs the services, tell them. I just ask that, again, you don't tell every single person you meet about the program.
Bruce is asking if we can get copies of your slide presentation.
Sure. I can send you, Gypsy, can I just email you a PDF of it and then you can send it out to participants?
I believe we can send that to the folks who are registered. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Then I'm fine with that. Any other
We'll double
questions?
check on that. I believe so. Then you have a co-presenter with you today too?
Oh yes, I have Amy. So if anybody wants to ask more about events or event volunteering, we'll just do a little seat swap and she can answer questions for you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amy. I'm the Events and Programs Coordinator here. Mostly what I do is micro events and major events. So our major events are up to 5 now. We have Wine, Women, and Shoes, which is a new gala that we're putting on. It'll be in February. Date is still to be decided. We have Mutts and Meows Mixture, which is a fun night of trivia and fundraising. The next one is our Toast to Tails Gala, which we have been doing for many, many years. It used to be the lawn party, but that's our most high-end gala where we bring in our most money. And then we also have Sea Spot Walk, which is this year was our 31st annual Sea Spot Walk. And this is our community event that also is a fundraising event for IHS, and it's at Julia Davis Park every year. And then finally, we have our annual Paws and Pumpkins event, which is both a volunteer appreciation event that we also partner with the community, so that way we can share with the community what our volunteers bring to the shelter, and then also thank them for their hard work. Does anyone have any questions about events?
Are your events on like the website for the Humane Society?
They
So
are,
we-
yes. Yes. So if say you are like, wow, Wine, Women, and Shoes sounds like something I definitely want to go to, you can go to the website closer to the date of the event and purchase tickets. Or if you work for a company that maybe wants to donate a raffle or auction item, that is also something you can just reach out to me to do.
So if we wanted to volunteer for an event like that, we would have to be established as a volunteer with the Humane Society, and at that point in time, we can sign up to volunteer for those events.
Absolutely, yep. I do a small events training. It's typically just like, what is the appropriate behavior for different events? How do you put up a canopy? Our talking points when we're out in public. And then also I go over the events in more detail than just that quick little rundown. But yes, I think Sea Spot Walk, we have over 70 volunteers that help with that event because it is
Wow.
such a large event. And then we have for Toast to Tails, it's a little bit smaller, but leading up to each event, I always need extra hands. So just, and then we also do have, like, for our department development, we have every Friday thank you letter folding. So a lot of our gals like to get together and just chit chat, and it's super easy, light work where they just fold letters and make sure that those thank you letters go out. So it's pretty fun for people to get together and just kind of, you're not doing hard labor, but you're making a difference because you're not pulling staff away from the uh, servicing the animals or whatever it may be to fold thank you letters. So it's really nice and helps us continue the work that we do.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Worth looking into. Yeah.
Events are fun and it's great. Like if you're someone who likes to go out, say at Hyde Park Street Fair and just chit chat with people. We have one lady that brings her guinea pig to every event. So, I mean, it's a good way to get yourself out and just kind of communicate with the public. So,
Great. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely.
We have more questions for our presenters today. Sounds like you have a lot of really great success stories about seniors interacting with pets and adopting and fostering and taking and using your services there, and also getting to interact with each other.
Yes, it's one thing is nice about volunteering at the animal shelters. Not everybody has the ability to own a pet, right? So if you say are living in an apartment or renting or living with family members, like it's the same for college students. It's so nice to just be able to go get that animal interaction, even if you can't personally own a pet.
And what I've learned too is that you interacting with folks in the community, if you're out walking your dog, or even if you just want to talk to people about your pet, it's a way to get conversations started and make new friends and enjoy some fresh air and be out in the community.
Absolutely.
We
All right,
will
well,
have go ahead, please.
oh, I was going to say, I don't have any other information. If anyone else has any more questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, we really appreciate your being here with us today, Amy and Laura, and these presentations will be on our YouTube website in a few days. You're getting some likes from some of the folks that are in the class, and Want to let you know that we will be having more NKA programming this coming spring, and we have volunteer opportunities as well. I will put a link in our chat for folks who would be interested in maybe volunteering with AARP. We have several different committees that provides different outreach for different topics in the community. We have a lot of different AARP interactions with similar to the Idaho Humane Society, and it's a great opportunity to be connected and active in your community and get to hear presentations like this or help facilitate them. So please contact Kathy McDougall at the email that I listed in the chat if you're interested in volunteering. And we really want to appreciate all of our participants today and the folks at Idaho Humane Society. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. She just left. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We appreciate you. Thank you, Lisa and Lisa. And I'll go ahead and sign out.